Good morning. I'm Matt Dana, the Managing General Partner of Dana Whiting Law and of Jet Probate. I'm here with my partner, Todd Smith. How are you doing, Todd?
Doing great, Matt.
Are you feeling good about talking about some IRAs today?
That's just what I wanted to do.
Yeah. Have you ever heard my joke about stretching an IRA?
I have, and I don't need to hear it again.
All right, we'll save that. If anybody wants to hear my joke about stretching your IRA, send me an email and I'll give it to you. So anyway, Todd, let's talk about IRAs, and I don't want to talk about the owner of the IRA. On our Dana Whiting Law website, we have a lot of content on there about if you're the one that generated the IRA, you're the owner of the IRA, what are your requirements on taking the required minimum distributions, and when do you have to start taking them, and all those things. I don't want to get into that. I want to get into, Dad had this, and I'm just going to put a number out there, $500,000 IRA. Mom was already predeceased. Dad's leaving his $500,000 IRA to his son. We'll call him Claude. That's a good name, right?
Claude.
From your hometown, right? Did you know Claude from high school?
I did not.
All the Claudes out there, I apologize. I think it's a great name. But anyway, so Claude's going to get a $500,000 IRA, and he's named as a beneficiary. First question is, does that have to pass under probate?
So that's an easy question because it's a yes or no question. The answer is no, it doesn't have to go through probate. Beneficiary designation trumps any control through probate court or will or anything.
Okay, so just generally speaking, what does Claude have to do to collect this IRA? What does he have to do? He doesn't need a probate, a probate attorney or a probate court. What does he need to do?
So he's going to contact the IRA institution, whatever company it is, Fidelity or whoever. He's going to contact them and he's going to make a claim.
Yeah.
And every institution is going to be a little bit different about what he needs to give them. But generally speaking, they're going to send him a big, thick envelope with about this many forms.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to fill them out. And there's going to be different options on what he can do with.
He can take it as a lump sum. He can take it over time. A lot of things he can do with it, right?
Each institution is going to want to give as many ways as possible to keep that money for him.
Right.
But one of the options will be, I just want it, give it to me.
Well, that's a good thing. So it's going to be fairly easy. He's just dealing with an institution. For sure, he's going to have to produce a death certificate. He's not going to have to produce a will, or he's not going to have to produce a trust. All he has to do is prove who he is and prove that somebody died. So that's easy. What if Dad, before he died, had creditors after him, and Dad owed a pile of money on creditors? I know that's got a lot of arms and legs to it, but generally speaking, let's say Dad owed I'm going to just say $50,000 to a bank.
Yeah.
Does Claude have to worry about that $50,000 debt?
That is a tricky question.
Yeah.
And asking it the way you asked it, when you're talking about generally and practically, how does this work out? I would actually probably tell people, not as a lawyer and not legally, I'd probably say no, doesn't have to worry about it. But legally, if we're talking legally, yeah, I mean.
Yeah. I think the general rule, more often than not, Claude's not going to be responsible for Dad's debts. That's the general rule.
Yeah.
Now, the thing we know about law, there's always exceptions, right? If Dad's normal estate doesn't have enough money, I think there'd be a priority, not getting in the weeds, but there'd be a priority to look for that money somewhere else before we came after Claude, right?
And it depends on the creditor and how much we're talking about,
Yeah.
how much that creditor is going to be willing to shake up a legal storm.
But. Now, certainly, Claude needs to be thinking about what are the tax consequences of this inheritance, the $500,000 IRA. The good news is it wouldn't be subject to any death tax, right? So that's not going to happen. Dad's estate isn't going to have to pay any income tax on that. But Claude, as he starts withdrawing money from that IRA, generally speaking, if it's not a Roth IRA, it's a traditional IRA, he will have to pay income tax on that, right?
That's right.
And then the rule is very simple. If he pulls it all out at once, he pays income tax all at once. He'll have the option of spreading or of taking no payments and then take it all out in year 10. He has that option. Or he has the option to take out bits and pieces over 10 years. Though I think the rule is very clear that within 10 years he has to withdraw it all. That's the income tax side of it.
That's right. And if Claude doesn't like that, when they ask me questions about, well, why is this the way it is? One thing I tell people is, IRA is it's an individual retirement account. It's a tool that was designed for retirement, not for inheritance. So it's actually not a good inheritance tool because, yeah, you're going to have to pay tax on it.
Yeah, income tax. Okay, and so the last issue we want to get into is on this IRA. It's possible that dad died and nobody was named as the beneficiary. I mean, we see that kind of all the time.
That's right.
Now what's going to happen to that IRA? Who's it going to pay out to? No beneficiary is named in the document.
Yeah, and I'll give you the general answer here just because I think the specific answer is it depends on the IRA contract, right?
Yeah.
And there's going to be legalese and small print in what the original person that made the IRA signed. And generally speaking, what it's going to say is if there's nobody named, or if everybody that is named doesn't exist anymore, generally it's going to be as a estate.
Which is a probate.
Which means in order to collect that, the estate must collect it, and the estate can't collect it without authority, and the authority is going to probate.
Yeah, and what you're saying is each IRA contract with whatever bank you set up your IRA, it's going to have a default clause.
Right.
Saying if we don't have a beneficiary designated, it might say give it to a surviving spouse if there's one. It might say give it to the kid. I think most banks would be nervous about saying give it to the spouse or the kid. So I think most of them are going to say give it to the estate and it's going to go through probate.
And I think that probably makes the most sense,
yeah.
Right?
Well, thanks for your time today.
You're welcome.
I hope I inherit a $500,000 IRA.
Yeah, I've got a friend named Claude that might help you out.